Good evening and welcome to your primetime news on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Shehan Radatunga. And before we take a look at your news in detail, first let's take a look at your headlines.
China provides assurance to support Sri Lanka's debt restructuring process. National Election Commission assessing the possibility of holding the postponed local government elections on the 25th of April. Police fire water cannons and tear gas at IUSF protesters. Strict measures will be taken if protests are held with the intention of destabilizing the country, President says in Parliament.
උද්ඝෝෂණ මාර්ගයෙන් මේවා කඩාකප්පල් කරන්නට යනවා නම් ඒ පිළිබඳ මේ ආණ්ඩුව තදින් ක්‍රියා කරනවා කියලා මං කියන්න කැමතියි.
Professionals to launch a continuous trade union action from tomorrow to the 15th.
Now on to your top story. The International Monetary Fund says Sri Lanka has now received assurances from all major bilateral creditors, which paves the way for consideration by the IMF's board on March the 20th. The IMF board is expected to provide approval of the staff level agreement reached on September 1st last year for financing under an extended fund facility. Now the news follows a report earlier today that China has given assurances that it will support Sri Lanka's debt restructuring. This cleared the biggest hurdle for Sri Lanka to secure a $2.9 billion bailout from the IMF. Now, speaking in Parliament today, President Ranil Wickremesinghe announced that the letter issued by the Exim Bank of China regarding debt restructuring has been directed to the IMF.
According to foreign media, Sri Lanka's largest bilateral creditor gave written support for the debt restructuring via the Export-Import Bank of China on the 6th of March. Bloomberg quoted people familiar with the situation as saying the letter meets the requirements of the IMF. China's backing completes the support Sri Lanka needs from creditor nations to allow the IMF board to approve the loan that was agreed upon by the fund staff in September.
Addressing Parliament this morning, President Ranil Wickremesinghe said the Sri Lankan government has fulfilled all conditions on its part to unlock the IMF package.
Conditions Sri Lanka had to fulfill during IMF negotiations have been met by now. I am aware of the inconveniences caused to the people as a result of this process. As a government, we must apologize to the people. Last night, we received the latest letter from the Exim Bank of China. The letter of intent was signed by the central governor and by myself last night. It has been forwarded to the IMF. Our responsibilities are now complete. I believe the IMF will fulfill its own set of responsibilities by the 3rd or 4th of this month. We will then be eligible for the first tranche of the ADB of the World Bank thereafter.
මං හිතන්නේ අපිට ලෝක බැංකුවේ ADB එකෙන් පළවෙනි මුදල් වටේ ලැබෙන්න එනවා.
Speaking further, President Ranil Wickremesinghe said Sri Lanka must complete all agreements reached with the IMF, unlike the 16 previous occasions.
IMF ආයතන සමග පවතින
If the IMF deal breaks down, we will have to repay loans obtained from foreign nations and private banks. Sri Lanka has to pay roughly 6 to 7 billion per year until 2029. We don't have sufficient foreign exchange to settle this debt. Therefore, it is important to note that these agreements are of significant importance to us in order to revive our economy. The grievances of everyone in society will continue. Certain lobby groups, political parties, volunteer organizations and trade unions must consider this in depth. Professionals claim the tax burden is too high, but the regime must continue for another short period. If the progress is reversed, then the situation could be worse than what was experienced in February and March 2022. It would lead to salaries not being paid, loss of employment, loss of pension payments, industries will collapse and schools will close down for long periods. We accept the freedom of expression. There is no issue in holding meetings and marches in a peaceful manner. But if acts of sabotage are to occur through protests, we will take strict measures. I must say this. If this country collapsed on the 9th of July, we would not have been in this situation. The price of the dollar is also reducing. We did not have anyone's support back then. I am thankful to the Tri-Forces and the police for the steps they took at that moment. Because of them, we have oil, fuel, electricity, and before long, we will have enough dollars as well. We will not allow destructive forces to reverse this progress. I request the opposition to join us in this journey to recover the economy.
The president also commented on notifying parliament regarding IMF agreements and the conduct of elections.
When everything is done, we can decide on the next election. We can decide on the general or presidential election. I want to know if you can remain patient until then. We can review the country's income status by mid-June and make decisions based on it. Once the IMF green lights the agreement, I will table it in Parliament and bring forth a proposal for the House to accept it. If not, give us an alternative. After that, we will bring a new draft laying out the plan and the way forward. It will also be given to the National Policy Commission in Parliament. Once it is agreed upon, we will launch it based on long-term and medium-term plans. We will be able to complete this task within 8 months. Let's make use of that and move forward.
US Secretary of the Treasury Janet Yellen has expressed support for Sri Lanka's steps towards an IMF-supported program to advance economic reform and achieve a strong and durable recovery. She had said this while speaking to President Ranil Wickremesinghe over the phone yesterday. The President's media division said the Secretary had welcomed Sri Lanka's commitments to transparency and comparable treatment for all bilateral officials and private creditors.
Now in other news, police fired water cannon and tear gas to disperse a protest organised by the Inter-University Students' Federation today.
The Inter-University Students' Federation had planned to commence the protest from Colombo Fort, citing several demands, including conducting the election, repealing the PTA, abolishing executive presidency, reducing the tax burden and providing relief to the people. Security in the vicinity had been tightened even before the protest commenced. Considering a request by the Fort Police, the Fort Magistrates Court issued a restraining order this morning against Vasantha Mudalige and others from entering the area surrounding the President's office, President's House, Ministry of Finance, Golface and several other locations. The court orders were read out by the police to the protesters from opposite the Fort railway station.
කැමති කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවනම් මේ නියෝගය බාර ගන්න ඔබතුමාලා කැමති කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා නම් මේක කියවලා බලලා මේ අවශ්‍ය ක්‍රියාමාර්ග අධිකරණ නියෝගයට අවනත වෙලා ඉදිරියට කටයුතු කරන්න. ඔබ බාර ගන්න ඕන නැහැ.
Although the court order was read out at the Fort railway station, the IUSF protest commenced from the Lipton Circus in Colombo. Protesters marched from the Lipton Circus towards Tumulla Junction, passing the Municipal Council and Nelumpokuna Theatre. Police fired tear gas and water cannons at the protesters from in front of the law faculty of the University of Colombo. Police fired another round of tear gas when the protesters attempted to march towards the Tummula junction once more. The protesters then ran into the premises of the law faculty to evade tear gas attacks. Those who were at the law faculty were seemingly affected by the rounds of tear gas fired by the authorities. Students of the law faculty voiced their outrage against the police thereafter. The protesters who entered the premises of the University of Colombo following tear gas attacks continued their demonstration from within the university premises. They claimed that police and army officers who entered the university premises had attacked them. Lecturers then questioned the police on the attacks against students of the law faculty. The group voiced their opposition from opposite the law faculty thereafter.
We do not have anything against our brothers in the police. Since there are more officers than usual, I must say this. When the IUSF come forward in protests, police officers take offense personally and attack us till our heads bleed. Another comrade was dragged away today. Students studying inside the university were tear-gassed. But, my loving brother, we are voicing the grievances of your families, your children, your wives and your parents. Therefore, we will continue to voice those issues no matter how much we are attacked. The law does not scare us. Ranil Wickremesinghe spoke bullishly this morning. Even though he thinks it was an act of aggression, we saw it as a dog whining. He whined saying protesters will be attacked because protests will lead to the economic collapse. We showed up today like every other day.
Now, the Professionals Trade Alliance says that they will launch a continuous trade union action against the government's tax policy from the 9th to the 15th of this month.
Representatives of more than 40 professional trade unions in the country participated at this media briefing in Colombo today.
Today we decide to launch a continuous trade union action starting from the 9th of March. We also decided that if the government turns a blind eye towards our demands by the 13th of March, we will take our protest action to the next level and bring the country to a halt. The Government Medical Officers Association will also join this trade union action on the 13th of March. Again, I need to emphasize that we don't like to burden the innocent citizens of our country, but we had to take this decision today. The government should take responsibility for this, and if they are ready to take a favourable response to our demands, we are ready to call off our action.
The National Election Commission says the 25th of April is the most suitable date to conduct the local government elections. In a release, the Commission said district returning officers will make the announcement on the new date in each relevant district. The release further notes, although the initial date for the local government election was set for the 9th of March 2023, unexpected and unavoidable circumstances, including the inability to print ballot papers, led to the postponement of the original date.
Meanwhile, representatives of political parties and several government officials were called to the Election Commission this morning to discuss matters relating to the local government elections. The Finance Secretary, IGP and Government Printer were also notified to arrive at the Election Commission today.
We held a discussion today, so a date will be announced. We mentioned our requirements with regards to the funds, the security and time required. As soon as our requirements are met, we can proceed.
Meanwhile, the representatives of political parties who are contesting the local government elections and were present at today's meeting claimed that the Finance Secretary did not attend the meeting.
If the Secretary of the Ministry of Finance delays, then the next step is to give the money as ordered by the court or go to the court and implement the judgment. The government hasn't stopped playing its tricks. They are threatening the members of the Election Commission. It's very evident from their statements that even their children are being threatened. It's clear to us that the Wickremesinghe Rajapaksa government is working hard to sabotage the election. If the date is fixed for the election and the funds are not provided again, we will once again take the Treasury, the Secretary to the Finance Ministry before the law for contempt of court.
The civil organisation Collective to Protect the Franchise Right of the People convened a special media briefing in Colombo today.
There is no way you can develop an economy while sabotaging democracy in the country. We have serious concerns as to whether you can develop a country's economy while disregarding democracy. We have serious concerns on who's benefiting through these decisions.
You all have distanced yourselves away from the people. Last year we saw what happens to leaders who distance themselves from the people. Not one politician in the country, neither from the ruling faction nor the opposition, including the President and Prime Minister, care about the cries of the people. This is a dangerous and sad situation. One may raise concerns as to whether this election is necessary to solve the issues we are facing as a country right now. Holding this election at the right time will ensure the rule of law of this country. If we are to obtain the support of the international community to overcome this crisis, we definitely have to remain as a country which respects democracy and the democratic rights of the people.
ඒ වගේ මහජනයාගේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී අයිතීන් සුරකින්න රටක් විදියට පෙනී සිටින්නට ඕනේ.
Let's now cross over to a short commercial break. Do stay tuned.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD. 23% for 2 months. 25% for 4 months. Valuable FD. A symbol of stability.
Welcome back to News First. Now, the Speaker confirmed in Parliament today that he has received parliamentarian Mayantha Dissanayaka's letter resigning from the post of Chairman of the Committee on Public Finance.
I wish to convey to Parliament that I have received the letter of resignation directed to me by parliamentarian Mayantha Dissanayaka resigning from the post of Chairman of the Committee on Public Finance. A select committee meeting will be held on the 4th of April 2023 to appoint a new chairman to the new vacant position.
We have not been notified. Bajir Abeyewardena has been appointed the temporary chairman of the Finance Committee. According to Standing Order 121/1, a member of the opposition must be appointed.
This sets a bad precedent. Correct it. Do not make this error every time. It is wrong.
Someone nominated MP Champika. He refused. We asked an opposition member to take it up. They refused as well.
The government created this issue. When the opposition nominated Harsha De Silva, the government acted against it.
Any MP can hold the chairmanship. It does not have to be Harsha De Silva specifically. When Mayantha Dissanayaka is appointed and he is forcefully removed, that only shows there's a conflict within the party. When partly Champika Ranawaka was nominated, that was not accepted either.
Anyone else or me getting it does not matter here, but the intention is for the opposition to name a member from the opposition instead of the government naming an opposition member.
As a result of promoting wrong sentiments within the House and society in recent times, he was rejected by a majority of the members. At such an instance, if the opposition is not willing to agree either, the only option is to suspend the committee based on Standing Order 121/1.
If he says a majority of the members were against me, I won't contend it. Appoint anyone. That is a different matter. If we are given the responsibility, we will fulfill it to the fullest. That might hurt certain people, but we will work for the country. Do not promote false claims.
The interim order issued by several judges of Supreme Court attempts to prevent the implementation of these laws and make the control of the public finance parliament a nullity. It is also interference with the sacred powers vested in the parliament respect of the control of the public finance. Therefore, I see this is a clear breach of privilege and power of the parliament. Please refer this to the Committee on the Parliamentary Privileges as an urgent matter. Thank you.
That will be referred to the Parliamentary Privileges Committee. Thank you.
Honourable Dolawat made a very serious statement regarding the violations of parliamentary privilege. Parliamentary sovereignty reigns as far as public finance is concerned. What the court has done is to issue interim orders to ensure that the fundamental right of the people of this country are protected by carrying out the elections through funding that has already been allocated by a vote in this noble house. The judiciary, through their actions, what they have done is not demean Parliament, is not breaking the privilege of parliamentarians. If anything, the Supreme Court decision has enhanced parliamentary sovereignty.
And some other news. Farmers in Polandara engaged in a protest march today, demanding a proper price for their harvest.
Farmers representing 35 agrarian organizations participated in this protest today.
How are we to dry the paddy in this weather? They are demanding to dry the paddy to 14%. How can we dry the paddy to those standards with these facilities? The production cost of a kilo of paddy is 135 rupees today. Give us something more than the cost at least. Last time they purchased a kilo of paddy for 120 rupees, but this Ranil Rajapaksa government has decreased this amount to 100 rupees today. They have closed down the paddy marketing board, small-scale mills in the area. Again, the monopoly will shift to the hands of large-scale mill owners. This is a plot by Ranil Rajapaksa government. We urge the President and the Agriculture Minister to not to play games with us.
A shooting was reported from Kota Hema this morning.
Shots have been fired at a group travelling in a three-wheeler. Police say the assailants have been travelling in a car. Police media spokesperson SSP Nihal Talduwa said that no injuries have been reported. However, the police have recovered the vehicle which was abandoned at the Ingurukade Junction area.
The Samagi Vanitha Balavegiya convened a media briefing today in line with International Women's Day, which is celebrated tomorrow.
Yellow and green are colours of our party. 2 years ago, our party leader Sajith Premadasa made a promise to add another colour to the party to represent women. That is orange. According to the leader's concept and our request tomorrow, we will add the orange colour to our party's colour scheme. So from tomorrow, our party's colours would be yellow, green and orange. On the 5th, exactly a year ago, the Samagi Vanitha Balavegiya stormed into then President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's house in Mirihana. The group of women representing the Samagi Vanitha Balavegiya went and questioned him, challenged him. So as a result, the people of this country took to the streets and ousted him. The finance minister resigns. All the Rajapaksas left their positions. So that is the example that we and women set, a challenge that was set by women. It's been 1 year since that historical event.
රටේ ජනතාවට දීපු ආදර්ශයක් කාන්තාවන් විසින් කරපු අභියෝගයක් දැන් අවුරුද්දක් වෙනවා ඒ සිද්ධියස් වෙලා.
Against the backdrop of the rupee appreciating over the last few days, some of Sri Lanka's key export industries anticipate a direct impact on their exports in the short term. However, some also hope that the cost of operation and losses will reduce.
The tea industry has gone through a severe setback in the year 2022. But even amidst a crop shortfall in 2022, the industry has been making great efforts to generate export revenue into the country. Industry experts say that the appreciating rupee is expected to affect exports.
With all the remittances coming in and so much of other dollar inflows, it was natural that Sri Lanka rupee was going to strengthen, but it doesn't augur well for export operations. So naturally, when the currency drops like that, you see when you talk of 40 rupee drop in the next year until last week.
Sri Lanka's hotel industry is a key driver of economic growth. However, amidst severe drawbacks experienced during the prevailing economic crisis, hoteliers anticipate a reduction in cost of operations and a decline in losses incurred as the rupee appreciates against the dollar.
This is actually a double-edged sword for us in the tourism industry. The dollar is coming down, and hopefully with that the cost of living will come down, which means as a tourism hospitality operator, we will see our cost of operations coming down as well, which is a positive. Many of our hotels have borrowed in foreign currency. We are incurring huge losses due to that. Booked losses will come down as well by the fact that we have appreciation of the rupee. So these are all good points. I mean, on a slightly negative is that for those tourists who are coming here, for them it was like monopoly, getting 360 to 370 rupees to the dollar. That will go down. But overall, we see this as a very positive.
Textile and clothing industries have been Sri Lanka's largest gross export earner since the 1980s. However, the prevailing economic crisis and volatile exchange rates have not been favourable for this sector. But the apparel sector is of the view that the appreciating rupee would make exports less competitive and that there would be a direct impact on exporters in the short term.
In terms of the current appreciation of the rupee over the last sort of few days, obviously that would make exports less competitive, as I mentioned, because rupee costs are a significant part of our overall pricing. This will hit exporters particularly in the short term, as we're obviously exporting against prices that were quoted at much higher exchange rates. Our biggest rupee costs are really energy and fuel, and we would really hope that in the near future we would see reductions in the prices of both power and fuel, which would obviously then mean a reduction in the rate of inflation for consumers and for the economy. So again, it's as these things settle down, we will get to a longer term position. But right now, it will lead to an immediate impact on exporters. But our hope is that that will translate to eventually lower inflation for the country and more stability. So I think it's a timing issue as these things work out. But yeah, from an exporter's point of view, a very sudden appreciation of the rupee is not something that we can cope with, particularly at a time where demand is down, and right now exports of apparel are going to be much lower. We've seen a reduction in the last month or so, and we see that going ahead. So it's not really come at not that there's ever a good time, but it's a particularly bad time for this to happen right now.
Now, as we get ready to celebrate Women's Day tomorrow, here's the story of a woman of power.
She is known as the youngest professor in communication and media in Sri Lanka. She is a writer who already has around 13 publications and is imparting her knowledge on the students of Sri Lanka as a communications expert, sociology researcher and psychology consultant. Meet Vasana Maitri Herath, Sri Lanka's only professor in communication science.
A woman can reach any height in any field she selects. Education is also a field that women can spearhead. Barriers are simply minor matters for women with courage and resilience. I'm someone who experienced defeat at multiple junctures in my life, but I didn't consider any of this as a loss. I considered every defeat as a mere victory. The sky is the limit for courageous, brave women.
Now, in some news from Parliament, an adjournment motion presented by the ruling faction highlighting the importance of regulating social media and formulating laws relating to it was taken up for debate.
Steps have been taken in many countries to prevent the use of social media to breach an individual's privacy. I propose to this House that such measures should be adopted in Sri Lanka expeditiously.
America is planning on banning TikTok soon. Even incidents that occurred on the 9th of May could have been reduced to a large extent if there weren't such lax regulations on social media.
Social media and social spaces cannot be regulated through laws alone. I believe the point of this proposal was to regulate it.
At times we have been forced to impose laws. I believe we should impose self-restraint when using social media by respecting others.
Politicians cannot make any decision. A good decision cannot be published on the media because it is always criticized on social media. It is indeed a serious issue.
I believe this is a crucial time to formulate laws. I make that request from the Minister sincerely. SL CERT is empowered to regulate this. They will initiate a program in this regard. Regulating it is highly important. We need to introduce the Online Safety Act. It should be supported in Parliament.
And that brings to a close your news for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Shehan Olatunga. Thank you for watching.